The digital world moves fast, but real growth comes from real conversations. This is eCoffee with Experts, where marketers and founders share what's actually working in SEO, AI, and digital growth. Grab your coffee and fuel your mind as we chat with top minds about their wins, struggles, and lessons you won't find in a blog post. Brought to you by Digital Web Solutions, we bring real talk to help you grow your business, one episode at a time. Let's get started.
Hey everyone, Victor here for my last Coffee with Experts. It's been a huge journey. We've managed to get, almost 70 episodes recorded with me as a host. I learned so much. I brought so many experts and I talked about it all. We went from CBD to yachts, to cruises, to trips, to God knows what. But today, just because I know most of you that are watching us, that are following us, that are sticking around, are from e-commerce sectors, are from marketing sectors, we're going to be talking about how we can optimize e-commerce delivery today. And how are we going to do that? That's a great question. So I actually brought you today Bobbie Ttooulis. She is the Group Marketing Director at GFS Delivery, which is the UK's first and largest. I'm actually going to read it out to you because it's a very fancy term. They're the largest managed multi-carrier parcel services for e-commerce. So you can expect a lot of big things to happen in this podcast. You can expect a lot of insights, a lot of experiences that Bobbie will share with us, and of course, some laughs and jokes as with every single episode we have. But not only that, let me already introduce you a little bit about GFS and Bobbie. First, GFS, simply put, they can take care of all your deliveries and returns from checkout to doorstep anywhere in the world. And about Bobbie, she has 25 years of experience. And I'm going to tell her how old I am because she's going to feel like, oh, Victor, are you here only to mock me? No, of course not, Bobbie. But I am 29. So we're talking about somebody who has been working most of my lifespan with marketing, with logistics, with services like this. And of course, instead of only me being me and talking about how amazing she is, we can actually ask Bobbie, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
Good, thank you, Victor. Something we need to correct though, okay?
Please.
First off, you forgot to, well, actually, we're not just talking about delivery today. What I wanted to do was really talk about digital transformation and share the journey that we've been on from, you can imagine I come from logistics. It's probably the least sexy industry there is, especially if you come from technology and software and professional services. And I'm sorry about my thumb. I cut my finger.
Oh my God, but did it hurt very much when you cut it? Yeah.
Yes, it did.
Well,
It did. Yeah. Health warning, never use a vegetable slicer or mandolin in the kitchen without the proper glove. Okay, so health warning over. Going back to what this is about, I want to speak to the audience today and share our story about how we transformed our marketing lead gen strategy from a traditional outbound strategy to full digital transformation, where today our inbound leads coming from SEO and SGO represent 72% of the sales pipeline. That's what I want to talk about. Yeah, that's what I want to share.
Perfect. And we're definitely going to go right over it. I think if you want, we can actually start with it already. As you said so yourself, you literally changed your business from traditional to digital led, and we can talk about it now. Or if you want, we can actually take a step behind and understand how Bobbie made a name for yourself as a marketing rock star in the industry, because you are literally a rock star in the industry. So I give it to you. Last episode, I'm feeling super generous. I want you to be the star, the owner of the episode. So do you want to first talk about yourself, or do you want to first talk about the transformation that you made happen?
Well, let's just talk a bit of I think if we start by giving, talking a little bit about myself, then it helps explain the context to what comes after. So I think you're very generous calling me a marketing rock star. I think, yes, I'm pretty high profile in the industry. I'm passionate about what I do. And when I'm passionate, I like to go and talk about it. So you'll see me on webinars, you'll see me at conferences, on panel discussions, you'll see me across the media, because I love what I do. And I have to, as a marketing person, you must believe in what you're selling, what it does, and more importantly, not what it does for your business, but what it does for the customers that you're selling to.
Perfect.
Really important. So that's a little bit about why I'm so high profile. But I think the other thing that sort of makes me stand out, as if people know me, is that people describe me as a marketing person with a salesperson's head on their shoulders, in that I'm very commercially focused, and it's not sort of the common way that marketing look at what they're doing. So let me give you an example. The other day, there was a post on LinkedIn, and there were loads of impressions, and it was saying how marketing is the cheerleader of the business. That drove me mad. I was like,
I
why
imagine.
say that? That is totally misleading. It's totally where marketing should not be. Marketing should be the sales engine of the business. Okay, marketing should be a revenue generator, not just a cost center, right?
Perfect.
And that is something that I'm really, really passionate about. And this is where digital, ties in with the digital transformation, is because it all started with, how are we going to increase the commercial impact, inbound inquiries, sales appointments, pipeline, revenue, customers signed? How can we increase and scale that when we look at the different channels we've got? And that's where it started. 12 months ago, we weren't doing anything around SEO. Before I joined the company, there had been some SEO going on, but whoever was doing it got a bad rap. And so there was a lot of nervousness around doing it. So I said, no, we're going to do it. We've got to try it. Because what we noticed was that when we were getting inbound inquiries, so somebody coming to the website and filling in a contact form, most of the time they were out of target, but the ones that were in target were high quality, high intent. They'd already done their research and had decided they wanted to speak to GFS. And that meant high velocity, high conversion, quick to sign up, revenue flowing through.
Warm leads are always beautiful.
Pardon?
Warm leads are always beautiful to support and to handle.
These are not even warm. These are hot. I would
Hot.
call them hot. Yeah, hot.
Extremely hot. Yeah. Boiling.
So boiling. These are really hot leads. So I was like, yes, give us some more of those. They are, compared with all our channels, if we can get more of those coming from inbound, then that's really going to be a game changer for us. So that was the starting point. But before we dived into the whole idea of let's just go and spend money on Google ad campaigns, we spent the first 3 months just optimizing our website, making sure we understood, before we spent a penny on advertising, making sure that we understood the customer journey, the customer experience. When they came to the website, where did they come? What were the bounce rates? What were the conversion rates? What was their behavior and their journey like? So as a result of that, we did a lot of things around our website: technical optimization, design, on-page optimization. So moving, like contact us buttons, action buttons around, and simplifying the navigation. And during all this time, we were watching and learning. So making these changes, then seeing what the metrics and analysis was telling us. Was it improving? Were our bounce rates going down? Were our et cetera, et cetera. So that took 3 months to get it to a point when we said, right, it's going to be as good as it can be now. And then in the meantime, we started thinking about doing all the keyword analysis to understand what search terms people were using to try and find solutions like GFS. So that was the paid side of it. But hand in hand with that, it wasn't just looking at PPC. It was looking at a completely holistic approach. So the whole website optimization, PPC, organic activities, so looking at content, blogs, all of that. And then also looking at what we needed to do to optimize conversion rate, so conversion rate optimization. And now we're also incorporating search generative optimization, because more and more people are using
AI
to find solutions. So it's important that we understand how that works and how we can ensure that we're going to appear in the results for in SGO. So whilst we were happy now that we had a good foundation in place, our website was as good as it was going to get, we then really ramped up on everything else. So we had all 3 streams running in parallel: Google Ads, LinkedIn ads, all the paid stuff, search, doing all the organic, looking at keywords, creating blogs, content to drive content, drive traffic to the website. So the first 3 months of all that activity, the first step was not so much about honing in on quality, it was about driving quantity to the website. So making sure that we were driving as much traffic to the website as possible to understand, to then be able to look at it and say, right, okay, is it the right fit? What are they doing? How long are they spending? So once we got those kind of insights, then we started constantly fine tuning the ads, because then the focus was all about increasing the quality, right?
Okay.
The fit, relevance of the traffic coming. So if I give you an example, when in the first phase of looking at increasing volume, we were getting sort of 200, 300 inbound inquiries. Our conversion rate in terms of qualification rate, so once they'd filled in the form, how many were in target, was sort of like 18%, 15% on average.
Okay.
Right? So then we started focusing on quality and fit. So we started making, again, testing and learning and refining everything across the board. Fast forward now, and like I said, 72% of our pipeline is coming from inbound. You know, that's revenue as well. It's definitely the primary. We're now tracking at about 50 to 100 inbound inquiries a month, you know, at a consistent level. But the MQL rate, so the number that have received that then are passed on to sales, is like 47%.
So
Because
out of every 2 leads, one converts.
out of every 2 leads that we receive, right, then one is passed on to sales as a marketing qualifier. So we're passing, you know, almost 50 plus a month, sorry, to sales. And looking at conversion rates, so what happens once it's a very high conversion rate. Because like I said, the intent is very high. So we know they're not coming to us unless they're really looking for a solution. And because of all the targeting we've done with words, with refining our qualification form when somebody fills it in, the fit is also much higher. So we're getting a higher conversion rate.
That's the dream for a lot of companies, you know that, right? That's the dream for so many professionals, so many. It was a dream for you, I imagine right now is reality.
It is reality, it is a dream, but hold fire, okay? One of the biggest learnings from this is manage expectations with your stakeholders,
Perfect.
right? It's not a silver bullet. This is not something that happens overnight. It took us 12 months to get to where we are. So you need to manage expectations with your stakeholders, because otherwise they're going to be on your back every month. So what did we get? What did we get? So it's important that you manage their expectations, that you educate them to help understand, that you don't throw money at ads and then suddenly, like magic, you get inquiries. So manage your stakeholders' expectations, educate them, help them understand that this is a slow burner, and then also avoid the temptation that when you see things, certain campaigns are working well, or, you know, avoid the temptation to throw more money at it. Okay, you must constantly track and analyze, you know, your campaigns. If you're running 10 campaigns in one go, you have to constantly be watching how they're performing and switching your money around to make sure you're putting money where the performance, and it changes all the time. So if I give you an example, last month our winning campaign, the one that was giving us the most, was a campaign around international shipping, Google Ads campaign, doing really well. Just at the point when we thought we should put more money into that one because it's doing so well, it suddenly paused because of all the noise that Trump was telling us around tariffs. It created a lot of uncertainty. Suddenly it nosedived. So of course we put it on pause and we shifted that money elsewhere. So don't be tempted to look a gift horse in the mouth. You must watch, track, analyze. You don't just kick a campaign, launch a campaign, and then it runs itself. It's a dedicated focus day to day. Yeah.
That's great to know. That's great. I think while we're at it, why don't we talk about the KPIs that you were measuring, that you like to measure, the most, let's say, about the most actionable ones for measuring impact and growth. What are they? What were the ones that you were most like focused on and that other people should also consider taking a look at?
Well, you know, it's easy. right? Especially if you know, like I said at the beginning, what really matters, what your business cares about is what impact you're having on the bottom line. So everything you go and tell them about, oh, we got this number of impressions, we got this number of visitors coming to the site, blah, blah, blah. It's like, who cares? That's great for us to know. These are metrics which we need to check to understand that we're doing the right things in marketing. But when I report to my board every month, I'm talking about net new sales weighted pipeline created each month, right? So what has come from marketing that has grown the sales pipeline in that month? And that shows that we are growing the pipeline month on month, because you need to keep that pipeline nice and big to feed through to sales and have that consistent performance. So month on month sales weighted pipeline that's generated. Then once it comes through to pipeline, then obviously number of deals that are generated, but more importantly, number of customers that are signed. So pipeline to number of customers signed, value of customers signed, and then as they get up and trading, shipping parcels with us, it's all about what revenue we're invoicing them that's been attributed to marketing. And then, you know, at the end of it, when you sit down in front of your boss or your business and say, this is what we've done, you also talk about what the ROI has been. So you gave me $1 million to spend and I've generated 20 million for you.
What an amazing intro. Okay, Bobbie, it is simple. It is simple. You're not saying anything that's like out of the ordinary, a magical formula. You're just talking about consistency, knowing where to look at, keeping an eye on it, and optimizing.
Optimizing, yeah, and being bold. You have to have the confidence and the courage to make decisions, make some wrong decisions, but you're going to learn from it. And you also have to have the courage to be transparent to your business, right? To be able to hold those numbers up. They're not always going to be great, but you need to have that transparency. Yeah.
That's for sure. That's for sure. And we're talking right here about a success story.
Yeah.
And there are going to be listeners and watchers who will try and learn from it all. Yeah. I feel like we should actually also talk about some of the common pitfalls that they might encounter during such a transition to digital marketing. And the things that I'm not going to say failures, but the obstacles that you found that now you know that they should be avoided. Yeah. Do they exist? What are they?
I spoke about some of them at the beginning. So Matt, first and foremost, right up front, when you're putting your business case forward to say, I want investment to do these things, you must manage your stakeholder expectations. So
That's
I don't
perfect.
know, you have to manage their expectations, and also you've got to cost justify what you're talking about. So if you're asking them for, 50K or 100K investment, then you've got to be able to forecast out what that's likely to generate, right? Because then one, they can see the return that they're likely to get. Two, you're also committing to it because suddenly you're accountable for that number. You've given that number forward. So that's one of the first things, is the learning. The other thing is, never ever stop doing everything else that you're doing in marketing. You always have to have a multi-channel approach. It's never going to be a one-trick pony, a single race, whatever the phrase is, I don't know. So everything else, all the other channels, you've got to keep those going. So I'm very much a sort of classical multi-channel. So making sure that we are pushing out both outbound, inbound, covering all our channels, social, email, all of those, as well as doing all the other digital activity, because everything impacts everything else. So
that is true.
You've got to keep doing those things because it amplifies what you're going to be doing in other areas. And of course, you must be able to track and measure. If you can't track and measure, then you're working in the dark. You're blind. So manage expectations with your stakeholders. Make sure that whatever you're doing, especially in digital marketing, you can track back to know exactly where that lead came from. You can attribute it to a particular campaign, a particular source, so that you can measure, analyze, and compare and make adjustments to keep optimizing what you're doing. And don't become a single trick pony. You need to be doing all of that other stuff as well, but obviously at the appropriate levels. So always understand which are your best channels and weight it accordingly.
Bobbie, If we are talking about multi-channel strategies, we need to
Mm.
talk about storytelling them because we need to
Yeah.
talk about how everything is cohesive between each other, like how ads are talking about the same thing as SEO, they're talking about the same thing as influencers and so on.
Yeah.
What role did it take in this transaction that you did, in this transformation that you did? How important storytelling is for you nowadays?
Well, storytelling is probably the most important thing. You've got to have a
Perfect.
narrative. You've got to have a story. The best salespeople, and I was learnt this on a sales course, and it's absolutely true. The best salespeople are the best storytellers. The
Yeah,
ones
that's
that
usually
can
what my friends tell
really,
me, at
yeah,
least.
yeah. So you've got to be able to tell a story to engage someone, right? You need to be able to tap into, and depending on, you've got to tell them a story that takes them on a journey, the sales journey, if you like. So depending where they are, first and foremost, you can't sell anything. As marketers, our job is to convince and persuade our customers, whether they're
Hmm.
consumers, whether it's B2B, B2C, whatever, convince and persuade them that they need what we're selling and what it will do for them in terms of either solving problems, making money for them, whatever the benefits are. So storytelling is absolutely fundamental, and you've got to get scientific about it as well, because you've got to have the strategy behind your story to understand, what am I trying to achieve at this point with this story? What do I want the audience to do? Yeah. And the great thing about digital marketing is that it's so dynamic that you can, like in ads, for example, you can keep testing and refining your stories until they're as good as they can be. So storytelling is absolutely fundamental. You've got to engage with the audience, you've got to tap into whatever is going to motivate them to engage with you and purchase your solution, whether that's envy, whether that's fear, whether that's making money, expanding sales, whatever it is. You need to tell a good story, and you need to understand the audience. What are those drivers that
Perfect.
you want to tap into? Yeah.
What is even the language that they like to speak? What's even making them come back?
Absolutely. You've got to be relevant to them, and knowing the
Hmm.
audience, knowing the audience. And yes, you can do it in a formal way. You can go out and do research, where we've done research in the past to understand what our customers look like, their demographics, their drivers, everything, right? So you get a really good sort of profile of your persona. There's different ways of doing it. But at the end of the day, I think you learn so much by going out and seeing customers. It's easy for me because we sell face to face, high
Hmm.
values. So I can go out with my salespeople and I can listen and watch and hear
Oh, that's
what the
very nice.
customer's saying. You can look at the data that you got internally to look at, do win-loss analysis. Why did we lose that deal? Why did we win that deal? What were the key drivers? What were the elements? You learn so much that enables you as a storyteller to really get it on point and understand what you need to say to really strike that chord.
That's great. You see, right now, I'm thinking and I'm listening and I'm processing all the information and all the stories about how you made sure to create an amazing first impression for those that are getting to know you now. As you said, so for those that will be converted to sales and everything else. But long-term related, what are you also doing to make sure that the brand stays relevant? Because right now you're the first and now largest managed multi-carrier parcel services for e-commerces in the UK. I want to know about the future. How will you make sure that you will defend and hold the position?
So we continue our storytelling, right? So
That is true.
over the years we've done a lot of thought leadership. So making
Hmm.
sure that first, because we were the first, we invented managed multi-carrier services. So the market didn't know what it was or that they needed it. I've come from a technology background, so the whole concept of managed services is very mature, well understood. In logistics, it's not at all. So
Hmm.
we had to educate the market, explain what it was, use that not only to educate, but also to differentiate with our competitors, to say
Perfect.
we're completely different to them. There's only one of us and we're unique in what we do. So you need to be able to do that. But you also need to make sure that you are at the front of telling that story. So every year we conduct research, industry-wide research. We go out to 2,000 plus consumers, and we conduct research that plays to our story so that we've got evidence every year that helps us tell our story and reinforce our story. You'll find me at conferences talking about it. You'll find me talking, talking on social media, on LinkedIn, posting. So there's a lot of thought leadership because we have to drive the industry. Right. One is we have to keep evolving that story to drive customers to want to come to us. There's so many ways you can skin a cat. You have to keep telling the story in a new way, in a fresh way, in a different angle to keep it fresh and to keep it relevant. And also, most importantly, to keep us ahead of our competition. Because, any time that you find yourself unique, that's only momentary. You have to pedaling fast to stay unique because your competitor is going to keep trying to copy what you're doing.
That is true. You became a benchmark for so many companies. Can you imagine that there are several PowerPoints over there where one slide is all about you guys? One slide is like, we need to, how the GFS made their story, made their success. How can we be inspired? Sometimes they will use the word copy. The word is about it right now.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a thing which I've learned, and it's why I never hesitate to share insights and learnings, because you can share tips with people. You can say, right, this is what we did, A, B, C, D, whatever. You've got a formula, but it comes down to execution. Yeah. And everybody executes differently, and it comes down to strength of execution. And that is the bit that people can't replicate, because that comes down to individuals who are doing that, and you can't replicate individuals. So
we don't even need to go very far from tech business. Like, if it was so easy to replicate, we wouldn't have cookers and chefs all over the world. We would be able to replicate a food recipe on the internet and just brilliantly doing it at home. But we know it's not possible. It's the same concept here. It is not possible. You need to have other things other than just the recipe. You need to understand how to approach and execute it.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I was just going to say, just as earlier when we were talking about, running LinkedIn ads or Google campaign ads, execution, one person just turns it on, launches the ad and walks away. Another person launches the ad and is sat there staring at the screen. That's different execution. Guess which one is going to be successful?
Yeah, you have to stick around. You have to stick around. You have to learn you have to keep on learning, keep on understanding from what's happening right now. One thing that is currently helping a lot of folks understand this is AI, right? See how amazing this episode is turning out to be. We're 30 minutes into it, and you have not mentioned AI for a single moment. All in your brain, expertise. You told us everything what you were doing, what worked, what didn't. But now there is AI. AI is something that I'm pretty sure your team is utilizing. Why don't we talk about the impact that AI has given in such marketing strategies in the logistics industry? What else did AI help you with? What is it that you love the most about it?
First of all, AI touches every aspect now in the workplace. So it's not just marketing, it's not just industry. It's down to whoever you are, whatever job you're doing. You want to write an email, then use an AI tool to write an email. You want to do some research, use ChatGPT. So it's everywhere. In terms of, so it's something which needs to be embraced, right? When I think of AI, I think of what are the tools that we can use to make our team faster, to make what we're doing faster, better, and more productive, right? How can I make more money with less? So I have a very small team, and that's the way I like it. I've gone from, I think at one point I was managing 72 people across Europe. Now I'm managing a tenth of that. And that's the way I like it, because I like the agility, and I also believe in being able to source the skills, whether it's skills or capacity externally, so that you can flex up and down. AI enables you to also unlock, such great productivity in your team, whether it's like designing a PowerPoint or creating an ad or writing copy for an ad or whatever it is. All these things now that AI enables us to do quicker, better, and more cost effectively. And I hate to say it, because it does then beg the question, where does the human touch, remain relevant? So
Remain,
it's
yeah.
yeah, there's still, it's for me, it's all about tools that enable my team and myself to do better, do faster, and do at scale, right? To scale what we're doing, because everything can be done faster and better.
It is true. It is true. I use it for so many things right now. There is a lot of us use it for a lot of things, right? A
Yeah,
lot of
it is.
us.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
I can
why
design my
not?
garden using AI. In fact, I think I'm going to
I
do that.
was
It's like
literally
everywhere.
I was literally doing this yesterday. You can see behind me there is this, there is this. This is a
Yeah,
garden, and I took pictures and I sent it over to GPT, and I was like, "Help me cover this with grass." Unfortunately, I might have prompted it wrongly, but it created a whole different backyard that I don't have, way bigger than what I do have. So I was like, "I'm thank you, ChatGPT. You didn't help at all."
yeah.
It is
You just need
evolving.
to yeah, give it a different prompt. Yeah, go
Yeah.
back and refine your prompt.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's all about it. I 100% agree. Bobbie, I already have my last question to you, and I
Uh-huh.
think it will close this episode beautifully. You, very much deserving so, are the first female board member at GFS.
Yes.
You are a lot of things inside of GFS. GFS has so much to give back to you. They have so much to like thank you for their success right now, for the things that have been happening. And not only you, but your team and everyone
And the
that you
team,
work with,
yeah,
of
and the
course.
rep
Of
apps, it's team.
course. The team. I 100% agree with you. But those that are watching and listening to us right now, they only know you. So let us talk about you for the last time. What advice would you give to marketing leaders or even those beginning right now that are about to embark on the same journey that you had? Of course, not only in logistics, but being a marketing person, being somebody who transforms process, who knows how to handle and grow and keep them at the highest quality possible. What advice would you give them?
Know your numbers. It's
Perfect.
let the numbers speak for themselves. So from the very outset, know what numbers, what you're trying to create for your what you're trying to deliver back to the business, because that's all they care about. What is this going to do for us, right? And then work back and explain the how. But your headline should be, I'm going to increase sales by 10%, generate this with this amount of investment, and here's how I'm going to do it. Right? Know
Hmm.
your numbers. And that's at every point, even when you're going back, you're reporting back to your boss or to your board, whatever it is, lead with the numbers. And that's the mantra I always give to my team is the numbers speak for themselves. So you need numbers. Make sure that you're able to measure, track, analyze, and know exactly evidence what your activity is giving to the business in terms of pipeline, signed customers, revenue, because it's all around value generation. If you can't generate value for the business, how are they expected to value you or marketing?
They'll never. They'll never. That's it. That's it. Bobbie, there is a reason why this show is called E-Coffee with Experts. We had coffee and you are an expert. So it all came full circle. And I'm very, very happy to have been able to close my journey as a host here with you. Thank you so much for sharing your
Thank
story. Thank you
you.
so much for sharing
Thanks, everyone.
how how it all turned out. It's as British people say, brilliant. This was brilliant.
It was
Thank
brilliant,
you.
yes. And
Yeah.
yeah, thank you. And all
Yeah.
you marketing leaders out there, future rock stars, yeah, be bold and brave.
That's it. Be bold and brave and follow Bobbie on her LinkedIn. Follow GFS. Check everything that she's posting. She
Please
is a
do.
poster, so you're going to see her posting more and more about it. Bobbie, what I can say, not only for myself, but for DWS, is that we wish you all the best. We know that you're going to get all the best because you're working hard to get the best. So it's even easier to wish you that. But alas, for everyone else, you're going to be able to follow Bobbie. As I said, so the links will be down in the description below, as have always been in all other episodes. And since I told you at first, now I'm closing it up. This is the last time that we're going to be talking to each other. So, Bobbie, thank you for being here and for giving
Thank
me
you.
this amazing opportunity of closing my career here at DWS with you.
Likewise.
I know that we'll be connected. And until the next time, I'm pretty sure you have more stories to share, more things that have worked out, and even more things that haven't, so that the
Yeah,
audience can know about it, right? It's always super
exactly.
important. And
Very.
that's it. For everyone else, you know where to find me. You know where to find Bobbie. Stay tuned. eCoffee is not dead. It's actually very much on the contrary. We are growing the numbers. We're having more episodes. So stay tuned. You're going to have fun, such as you had right here with me and Bobbie. Anything else you'd like to disclose, Bobbie, before you go?
Nothing else. Good luck.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And for everyone else, this has been Victor catching up in the next time, who knows where. Bye-bye, everyone.